Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Thamri. Welcome everybody to the beginner's guide to Final Fantasy XIV. I'm gonna try to make this as simple and as concise as possible and try to take it all in one singular take. Talk about the mount. What do you get the mount from? Well, in the 3 city-states, as part of your main questline at level 20, you'll be invited to be joining a grand company. This over here is a twin adder. The other two grand companies are located near the city-states. This one's located in Gridania, the twin adder, so you can see the adder's nest and the icon right there. Then, out of the capital cities, you have Thanalan, which will have Ul'dah and will have the Flames. And in Limsa Lominsa, you will have the Maelstrom, which is located on the upper decks. Right here, the Maelstrom Command. Grand companies are only really important in PvP, and even then, they're not that important really, because it doesn't separate you to a faction. This is the most faction-based that you will ever get in Final Fantasy XIV, but like I said, even then, it doesn't really affect your PvP, because you can always go to the player settings, open up Duty Finder settings, and set yourself as a frontline freelancer, and be able to join any free company you want with friends and stuff, and PvP with them if you really want to. So there's no really particular reason to or particular benefit to join one aside from gear sets. The grand companies here at higher ranks will give you the ability to purchase some really fancy gear that can be used as a glamour or something you wear on top of whatever you have. For example, the Serpents have a very fancy coat and a very fancy hat. If this strikes your fancy right here, join the Serpents. Maelstrom have more of an officer pirate look, and I believe the Flames have more of a soldier general look. I haven't really seen what the Flames code looks like, but this is the Serpent Lieutenant's attire that you can get if you want to. It cannot be dyed, it has some decent stats at level 50, and it's really up to you if you want to get it. Aside from the cosmetic value, then don't really worry about the grand companies. Join whichever one you want. I just joined the one that I started in, which is my home port grand company. Hi, how's it going, Lathe? Hello there. Welcome. Guess I was just found in the middle of a video there. Hello. Now, what can you get from the grand companies? From the grand companies over here, the Serpent Quartermaster, you can get a lot of beneficial things. The first thing you'll be able to get is the whistle for your chocobo. You'll get your first chocobo from here by earning these seals. These seals can be earned from doing particular leaf quests, which are like repeatable dailies. Not really dailies, but like repeatable quests that you can do over and over and over. Oh, got a friend request. Cool. Thank you. You'll be able to do it later on in the future. You'll earn about leaves as you level throughout the game. Or you can do certain dungeons or guild hests or instance group-based content in order to earn these seals. These seals are going to be really easy to earn as you play throughout the game. Fate events or world events that you will see all around the world can also give you a lot of seals, which is really nice. Just feel free to grind them. You'll grind them absolutely mindlessly for the most part. I have 80,000 right now, just kind of sitting capped there. I don't really worry about it. Anyway, what you can get from the grand companies and the seals that it costs are some decent things like starting weapons at level 22 or 21. You can also get some armor that depends on your level, some materials required for crafting and gathering, and even more materials like the swan feather or the eagle feather that can be used, I believe, also for crafting and gathering. The different ranks within the grand companies, and the way you earn the grand company ranks is by going over to the Serpent Personnel Officer, applying for the promotion. In order to get promoted, you need to have a certain amount of seals ready to be introduced for your grand company, and you also need to complete a hunting log, which you need to complete through here for the Order of Twin Adder. As you can see, I have yet to complete mine because I just kind of been lazy. Talking about the hunting log, the hunt log is another going to be a really important thing for you to learn. As you choose your, you probably learned in the beginning of the game, but as you choose your class, your starting class, you get access to the hunting log. Completing the hunting log will allow you to get more experience for completing, let's say for example, slaying 3 ladybugs, you'll get 75 experience. Killing 3 star marmots, you get 180 experience. And as you go down the list, the enemies that you'll be killing are going to be a little bit harder, little by little, going to be located in different areas, separate areas. As you mouse over the enemy, like let's say the Dusty Mongrel, it will say Western Thanalan Horizon's Edge. If you need to find it, just use the map in order to find Western Thanalan and the Horizon Edge location in order to locate the Dusty Mongrel, slay it, and get the reward of 1700 experience. Completing a full set will also grant you a lot of experience. For example, completing the first or difficulty 1 will grant you 2500 experience. This is a really easy and great way to level in the beginning of the game. Highly encourage keeping up with the hunting log and completing it as you go on throughout the game. Now, this is also available for classes like Gladiator, Pugilist, Marauder, Lancer, Thaumaturge, Conjurer, Rogue, Archer, and Arcanist. It is not available for any Heavensward or Stormblood jobs, so don't worry about it. It only goes up to level 50, so don't worry about that. After that, the hunting log will become kind of irrelevant afterwards after you complete it. When you complete the hunting log for your Grand Company, simply head over to the Serpent Personnel Officer and apply for promotion. If you're going to be doing gathering and crafting professions, it is highly recommended checking out the Grand Company delivery missions and seeing what people need to be delivered. If you have particular gear that you're not using for particular, like maybe this Astronometer with the Crimson Lotus that I'm not going to use, and if I really want to turn it into for seals, I'm more than welcome to do so. However, I'm already capped out on seals, and we don't really need to rank up with the Grand Company, with a free company, so I'm a-okay for now. But if you're going to be crafting and gathering, highly recommend checking out the supply and provisioning tab and turning these things in daily to get a lot of experience from it. It's going to be a really easy way to level. Aside from doing leave spam for crafting and gatherers, you can look that up on Google as well. Just feel free to come in here every single day and turn them in. Over time, you'll get a lot of experience for turning stuff in, and a lot of seals over time. Now, I mentioned Grand Company. What I have not mentioned is Free Company just yet, which I want to talk about right here. Free companies are simply guilds. Right now I'm recording at 5 in the morning, so that's why not a lot of people are on. I don't know why I'm up at 5 in the morning, please don't ask me. You can get ranks, actions, activity, info, you can set this all up, either join one or start one by yourself, and these just work like guilds. They also come with player housing, not player housing, but your free company housing. There is player housing in the game. I don't have like a personal house, I only have an apartment. But in Lavender Beds, you do have the estate for your free company. The estate can be small, medium, or large, and at that point, the free company members can explain a little bit more about housing. Housing is a whole different ball game when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, as everybody and anybody is clamoring down to get some nice piece of property, and to claim a little bit of themselves and a little bit of land in Eorzea. Moving on to the guide, ability sheets is going to be the next thing to work with. Each job was going to have a certain set of abilities, whether it be for battle, for crafting, or for gathering. Right here in the action traits, which you can open up through the in-game menu or with the P button on keyboard, you get the general things like jump, sprint that can be used over for the controller, or if you need to have an easy access to them. They are really easy to learn, and things like material assimilation, advanced material melding, and other stuff like cast glamour, don't worry about that, you will eventually get that in the future. For now, just don't worry about it, you just learn and accommodate yourself and kind of learn as you go on by accessing this feature. You can, however, use things like teleport instead of using the in-game side menus over here or the start menu on the controller in order to access things a lot faster. Like teleport, I can right-click on teleport and open up the teleport window and choose my teleport location, which lists the area, Aetheryte, and the fee. For example, let's say if I want to travel to the far east to Kugane, it's going to cost me 699 gil. And you can also set some favorite ones if you want to. I don't have any favorite ones at the moment, but you can set them if you want to by right-clicking on the Aetheryte when you're near it and setting as favorite. Moving on, actions are your general actions. If you play something like a Dark Knight, you will not get an actions tab, as Dark Knight and Astrologian, Machinist, a Samurai, and Red Mage don't have a starting class. They only have a starting job. They start as a job at level 30 for the first 3, or a Samurai and Red Mage's case, they start at level 50. Moving on from Paladin, actions going to be there available for you. They're going to be your starting abilities you'll earn up to level 50. Your traits is something that's going to earn you passively and can enhance your ability to play. Don't worry about that. Job is something you'll lock as soon as you get your job crystal. For example, as a paladin or as a gladiator, I have my paladin crystal, which makes me into a paladin, which unlocks all these abilities for me. If I were to completely remove and unequip the job crystal, I would not have the access to the job. So it's best I go ahead and make sure I have it equipped at all times, because these job abilities are going to be really important towards endgame. You want to make sure you get your job ASAP whenever you have the ability to. Now roles is another tab entirely that is separated by the classes. by the classes and by the roles. The tanks, healers, melee DPS, physical range, and magical range share different cross-role actions. Tanks have their own roles set for defensive and be able to enhance their tanking ability with whether it be in a dungeon or raid. Healers have their own cross-role functions and actions they can pick. Melee the same thing, range, physical range the same thing, and magical range the same thing. Sorry, kind of got tripped up there a little bit. Now you also have the companions tab, which can let you focus and control your companion or your chocobo a little bit. And then you have the main commands, which are pretty much the general functions in a game that you can find through the menus over here, or through the console menu with a controller if you do press the start button with a controller. Let me go and actually showcase that a little bit. I've been prioritizing primarily keyboard and mouse because that's what I play on. But if you press start as a controller user, you get this little fancy option right here, this fancy section, which in my opinion looks a little bit nicer than the default keyboard and mouse section. This looks really neat and nice and has everything separated nicely to be used with a controller. Going back over to the keyboard and function side, however, instead of using these menus, you can, however, use this entire assortment in order to navigate to certain parts of the game. You have the duty list, logs, social, party, travel, and systems. In the systems, it is really important to explore certain particular things. Support desk is going to be really important for you to explore because it has all your information about recent replies and notices if you contacted a representative or a dev, or not really dev, but I guess a GM in a game. Recent topics, frequently asked questions, which is really important to check. The news for the game that's coming up. Contact us list, which you can report harassment, cheating, bug, or leave a suggestion. And the history of interactions that you have. There we go. And then in play guide, if you want to open this up, if you click yes, I believe this is only, possibly on the PC side. I don't believe consoles have this particular play guide, but if they do, if you click yes, it will open up a tab to the lodestone, which will have the jobs guide and all the info available for you in game, if you want to use that. It's a really good research, a really good thing to check out when you can, but it's not required to always be on the play guide. You can always use information like from Reddit, from the official forums, from YouTube, and other fan-made forums that are created for Final Fantasy XIV. They also have active help, which is set up to kind of help you out, kind of get acquainted with the game, and the HUD layout. Let's talk a little bit about the HUD layout as well, since we are already on top of it. The HUD layout allows you to set up what you currently have as a HUD. So that's what I currently have right now running is my HUD, and I'm able to set up through the HUD layout. You can set up a brand new one if you want to. Let's say, for example, I go back to my roots of World of Warcraft and I decide I want to move things around a little bit and set the HUD bar 1 to be right there in the center, HUD bar 2 to be right this, there we go. Maybe HUD bar 3 is going to go on top of it, but I'll make it hidden for now. Main menu can go over here on the side, and the guild can go over here on the side, and then experience bar, I could probably put it over here on the bottom or something, and just kind of leave it right then and there. Just kind of slapping things together. Hide the inventory grid. Items you can hide over here, you can actually right click on them in order to hide certain items. And then the balance gauge for the jobs, particular job that is available per class, and we'll leave the minimap here. Health bar we can put over here on the parameter bar, can go actually on the top over here if I really want to give back the classic World of Warcraft sort of look. Limit gauge can just be dropped off over here for now, for the time being. And there we go. I created a whole HUD bar that is sort of reminiscent of World of Warcraft. Kinda, not really. It's kind of sloppy. It's been done just a little within 10 seconds. You can have different presets if you want to, but I'm going to currently roll with my current preset that I have right now. It's what I'm comfortable with. Feel free to experiment with this preset and be able to customize and add anything you want in order to customize your HUD bar to what is comfortable for you. In order to function, in order to set up the HUD bar from the main menu, just click on Systems and HUD Layout if you want to access it quicker. In order to change certain elements like the minimap, for example, like make it bigger, you can hold down Control and hit Home over and over and over to expand the size to the maximum for minimap. If the minimap reaches maximum size and you hit home again to maximize it further, it's going to go as high as it can, and they're going to be reduced to the lowest and tiniest size ever. Let me go ahead and pull up the in-game. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this out for now because I don't want the changes to be saved. However, also the same function can be done with the controller by clicking in the right stick. If you click in the right stick, I'm clicking it right now to go first person and third person, but when you're on a HUD layout, you can click in the right stick to expand things with the controller. Also, the right stick can also help you position different layout things. And trust me, you want to take time with this. I'm going through this really fast, it's just for you to absorb it as it goes on. It's not there for you to immediately be able to keep up with it immediately as it happens. I also want to make sure I addendum this particular video to introduce and talk about the Duty Finder, the way you'll be able to get into instances and dungeons. In the first step is the Duty Roulette. Duty Roulettes can be completed every single day for a particular bonus, for a 1 day and 1 time run bonus. At endgame, you'll be doing things like Expert, which will get you the Tomes of Rarity, and Tomes of Creation, which is a currency you'll be able to use at endgame to purchase high-end gear. You also will be able to get Duty Roulette on level 50 to 60 dungeons, which is as it says, any level 50 and 60 dungeons just for the roulette with a daily bonus, leveling roulettes, trials, main scenario, guild hests, and frontlands, which is PvP. Eventually you will get PvP unlocked at level 30, so you get this frontline roulette later on. Dungeons are your regular dungeons. You'll be able to actually slot in if you want to queue in for certain dungeons by slotting in 5 instances at once. You'll be able to queue into them right now. If you have too many instances queued in, you can clear the selection. You also get these different dungeons and trials and raids spread out according to the expansion that you're on. Anything within a realm reborn Hemsworth is covered in Dungeons 1, Stormblood is Dungeons 2. Guild hests are like mini dungeons and micro dungeons that I highly recommend doing as soon as you can get them. They're unlocked at level 10, and running them through first time gets you a lot of bonuses with gil and experience. Also, just to make sure I'm covering this properly, whenever you first get in grinding for the Chocobo, doing the Duty Roulette of guild hests and the leveling dungeons gets you a lot of seals, and a lot of bonus seals for doing it on the first time for the day. It resets every single day, so feel free to do these things on daily for the roulettes. Doing roulettes on a daily will get you the bonuses, so gaining a lot of experience is going to be pretty important. I highly recommend doing all of this. Since I'm currently right now setting on the endgame level character, it doesn't say that I earn experience, but if I switch to Red Mage, which is level 61, I get bonus experience and experience for completing it. Adventurers in need like tanks can actually get bonus stuff just for being tanks. Granted, tanks are a highly needed job when it comes to instances. Granted, most players play DPS, a decent amount play healers, and the large minority, that sounds actually really weird to say, a minority of players does play tanks. You don't have to play a tank, but if you do play a tank, your insecures are almost instant. Watch this. And unfortunately I have to withdraw from this. Top 10 anime betrayals. I know, I apologize. Going back to the Duty Roulette, you also will have things like trials for Realm Reborn Hemsworth, which is for the most part a one-time boss fight. You'll also get the one separated for Trials of Stormblood. Then you got the raids, separated by expansions around Born Hemsworth and Stormblood, PvP events you can get into, and eventually Gold Saucer, which is primarily for Gold Saucer, a casino-like area you eventually get and unlock in-game. You also have high-end duty as you get to the end game, which will let you get into high-end, savage, and extreme content that you can run towards endgame. And for the most part, if you're leveling throughout the game, I highly recommend doing your Duty Roulettes on a daily in order to get plenty of experience, plenty of gil, and plenty of steals that you'll be able to spend on Chocobo. And let's get over to the Marketboard, the last thing you will have to really know about aside from the map. Before we move on from the Marketboard discussion, let's talk a little bit about the map and how to navigate the map a little bit more and how to read it. Let's go ahead and expand it here for now so I can show you everything that's going on. I'm going to zoom out here all the way to the world map here by clicking this icon of world map. This is world map. This what you're seeing right here is Eorzea. Up here on the top right corner, it has the ability to switch between different maps like the Far East, which is introduced in Stormblood. For now, you'll only really get much of access to explore Eorzea if you're starting the game out. Right here you have different sections like Black Shroud, Gerabania, Abathia Spine, Kurthus, and so forth and so on. Any side quests or quests that are incomplete are going to be right next to the area that you're in. For example, in Thanalan, I have a quest called Zombies Are People 2 incomplete. We got also incomplete quests for Kurthus and Drovania, and right there is a player icon, which means I am located in Black Shroud. Click on Black Shroud, you get a sub-menu that shows all the sections of Black Shroud, which is the area that I'm in. Final Fantasy XIV is instance-based, and each of the large sections of the map are separated into subsections, like North Shroud, East Shroud, Gridania, Central Shroud, South Shroud, and the Lavender Beds, which is a residential home district. That's where all the homes of free company homes and mansions are going to go to. In order to navigate where I'm at, you gotta look for the player icon right there. If you click on the subsection, you'll be able to open up the map of the certain section. For example, this is the old Gridania. This is the player icon, and around here you'll be able to kind of understand what is what by mousing over it. This is a shop, Skywatcher, Carpenter's Guild, Levmead, required for doing like side quests and stuff, Airship Landing, Archer's Guild Aetheryte or Little Ethernet, and certain key points like the Faraga's Gift, Red Otter Gate, which are just sceneries you can see. Like this particular area is called the Knot, just for the sake of just being called the Knot. The red arrows indicate that you can go from one zone to the other, and the name under them shows where you're going to be going into. The triangle also shows the adjoining area. If I go through this area, I'll go into Old Gridania. To see the map of Old Gridania, or to see the map where it's going to lead me to, I can just mouse over to Old Gridania and click on Old Gridania. It will show me exactly the point where I'll be entering from New Gridania to Old Gridania. As you can see, the silhouette is highly familiar to New Gridania's map, the Aetheryte and the inn. If you go to Old Gridania, this will be the general area of the Aetheryte, this will be the inn. As soon as I get to a New Gridania, I'll enter through this particular point of view, and we'll enter into the second kind of like a subsection for Gridania. Each capital city has 2, or in case of Ul'dah, 3 subsections to their capital city. And also I believe in Kugane you only have 1 subsection aside from the residential district. Anyway, I'll be able to explore this particular part of Old Gridania if I want to. If I need to get back to where I am, I can go over here to the center map on player location, click that, it will put me in a center map. I can also move the map around if I want that to take it off, and it's really up to you however you want to go with it. Turn off map transparency will make it so that when you click outside of the map, you'll see a little transparent silhouette of you and where you're at. If let's say you're running on autopilot somewhere and you want to make sure you're not running into trees and stuff, it's a really good way to check on the map and be able to see where you're going. If you want to keep it off, feel free to keep it off. You can also make it so it shows or hides certain text and icons. You can make a bare map, but you won't be able to tell what's what. I highly recommend using the full layout to see where it's what. If you want to take away the icons, you can just keep it like this to make it a little bit easier, but it's also going to be a little bit difficult to fully get that. If you want to just make it so it's only icons available, when you mouse over the icons, it will still say what they are. Might be a little bit easier on the eyes, it's up to you at that point. I just keep all my things up here. If you want the map to never like leave unless you press the actual cancel button, so when you put this on, no matter how many times you press escape, it will not take away the map unless you press the X button, or the little cancel icon over here. Will not make it escape. If you have it off, when you press escape or press X on the controller to pull up the map and take away the map, it will take away the map. This little sidebar can be used as zoom in, or you can use the scroll wheel on a mouse to zoom in and out. Same function of holding L1 or left bumper and using the right stick forward and back can also help zoom in and out of the map, as you can see I'm doing right here with the controller. Now, this is the general gist of how to navigate the map. If you need to know where you're going, make sure to just kind of see the arrow and figure out where you gotta go. For the most part, getting acquainted with this map is going to be pretty important. Granted, this is going to be the best way for you to navigate throughout the entirety of Eorzea. You'll eventually get used to it, don't worry, it's not going to be that hard to understand where you're going. Let's cover the last section for the general public to know, which is the market. This is where you're going to be selling, for the most part, a lot of things that you'll find within the world. And if you have something that you can't use, but you don't want to be tossing it away or vendoring into an NPC, and think maybe another player could use it, you can use the Marketboard to sell it. Now, when you access the Marketboard yourself, you're only buying. So you can actually see different filters and turn in different things. Let's say, for example, we want potion. Type in potion, click enter, use partial match, so it focuses on the potion word in order to find its different potions. A lot of potions become available. Some of them do some amazing things, some of them do some not so amazing things, or situational things. Overall, this is how you're going to be purchasing things. If I want to buy a max potion, I can click on the max potion. It will show me the prices the players have listed. and the quantity. We get the price per quantity, the quantity of the item, the total worth, and the retainer, the person who is selling. Sometimes you may be able to recognize some retainers depending on how often you visit the market board, and you may or may not find them to be very, very, very helpful in these particular endeavors. So let's say, for example, I know this particular Sora and I purchased from Sora. When I see Sora purchase something, and I really like the prices they're selling, let's say, for example, they're selling something a little bit more or less, I don't really know. Maybe I might want to be like, oh, I'll buy from Sora again. That seems like a pretty cool market board. Usually you want to go for lowest prices available if possible, but some things like high quality items, designated by the little high quality icon, may cost a lot more, granted they're harder to make and harder to obtain. So this one will cost 800 per price, and there's 99 of it stacks together, equating in 79,200 gil. Now, for example, this one over here with regular quality is just 69 gil, and 1 per quantity, so you'll just pay 69 and the market fee. To sell things, you'll eventually be able to get a retainer from the retainer volcade over there, which is located in every single capital city. You'll talk to them and be able to customize the appearance of your retainer. Your retainer are the auction house, the bank, and even side helpers. As you can see, I got Colette right here, which I have equipped with actual gear, and I have her equipped and actually rated up as the archer job in archer class. She actually can go out on these adventures and complete ventures and be able to get certain things for me, like get experience for themselves and be able to get me some sort of items or harvest certain things I can use for crafting and selling on a market board. This is just side stuff. You can eventually learn about it on your own, but what you can use the retainer for, let's say for example we leave Colette alone and I grab Pontley, my other retainer. Give me a Pontley, thank you. Pontley over here is able to hold a certain amount of items, so you can entrust or withdraw items. I have a lot of junk over here that I kind of just stored up for the sake of it when I was experimenting with crafting, but you can store things in here and drag it out if you want to. For example, let me put it into inventory tab. You can put things in, you can put things out, and it's stored, including the crystals you can store as well. Also, you can entrust them or withdraw gil. If you have issues managing gil, you're more than welcome to give gil away to your retainer in order to make sure you keep yourself on a budget. I have a decent time spending and saving up gil, so I don't have to ever worry about it, but I understand some players feel more comfortable storing away gil to a retainer. You can also sell items in your inventory on the market, like you can sell, for example, glamour prism. Let's say, for example, I really don't need any glamour prisms of Clothcraft. I drag it up into here and gives me the just price section. To compare prices, click on this little icon over here, and you'll see the other prices that other players have set it for. For example, Null, the retainer Null of whatever player they are, set their prices for Glamour Prism for 2,500 per stack for the quantity of 4, which equals into 10,000 per this particular purchase. I can do the same thing. I can undercut them and I can overcut them. Best etiquette is to find the lowest price. Try to stick to the lowest price so you don't undercut the next person. Typically people try not to undercut each other, but as you can see, the prices do fluctuate depending on where you're at and what is selling for how much. So obviously undercutting is going to be eventually unavoidable. Simply try not to be so rude and just go for the lowest price available, unless you can clearly see somebody undercutting. Let's say I put all 4 stacks for, let's say, 1,000, and you see on a market board that somebody's undercutting. Try not to do that. Try not to stay undercutting. First of all, you want to make sure you get a decent profit for the things you sell. And second of all, you don't want to be undercutting people just because it kind of messes with the economy and turns to a big mess, and nobody really wants to deal with it at that point. Selling things on a market board is probably the best way to do, to do with the items that you do not need, but you don't feel like they should be, maybe, I don't know, like, if you feel like you want to, get, bang for your buck. Sorry, I've been talking for 50 minutes here straight. If you've been doing more bang for your buck throughout the entire thing, then just sell it on a market board as best as you can in order to get the most profit out of it. You can also sell items in your retainer's inventory if you want to. I can sell all this junk if I really want to, but I'm gonna keep it here for now because I have a horrible time managing this stuff. You can view sale history, assign adventures, which is adventures that your retainer can go on if you eventually give them the attribute and gear, and you can equip them with a certain class. Like I can assign the retainer class for the classes that I have available for me. You can assign the battle, gathering, and crafting classes for them. Actually, I don't believe you can assign crafting. You can assign gathering though, so I can assign her to be a botanist or a fisher if I really want to. But I believe I have to be a certain level to be able to, of that particular class or job, to assign Pontley or any other retainer the particular, profession. Now, rules on retainer, you get 2 per character. You can, however, expand it to 2 more if you want to, or as many more as you want. I think a limited of like 8 or 10, some sort of like that, on the in-game lodestone and mark station options, but you do have to pay monthly for them. It's like rent a retainer. You get 2 of them from the start, so for the most part they'll be acting as your bank. Also, yeah, you want to make sure you use both retainers for your bank. Let's say, for example, I have Colette storing the things that are kind of important for me, that is not really junk, but more of some sort of accessory that I really like. Dyes, glamours, really easy things just to store over here. For the most part, they're kind of filled up. The tree that eventually hopefully will put into the mansion. We'll see how it goes, depends on the kind of mansion that we get and where it's located and if the tree even fits. For the most part, it is used to store things that you don't really need into here. So this works as your bank. And like a bank in any other MMO, for the most part, it's limited to a certain amount, so try to be very selective about the things you store. Don't hoard things. If that's some junk that you don't need and you really know you won't need it, go ahead and sell it or put it up on a market board. Just try to make sure you keep yourself sane when it comes to managing all your equipment. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that is everything that I could cover for the beginner guide in one setting, in one go. I believe I was pretty concise and pretty detailed about it and pretty quick about it, as quick as I possibly could be. Aside from making a written guide, I can't summarize something like this in only 10 to 15 or 20 minutes, unless I could just go briefly about it without any detail. I don't know where I'm moonwalking, by the way, I'm just moonwalking for the sake of moonwalking. Anyway, I hope this guide helps you out. Hope you enjoy Eorzea. Welcome to Eorzea, first of all. Let me go ahead and do a welcome emote. Welcome to Eorzea. Thank you so much for watching part 2 of the Final Fantasy XIV Beginner's Guide. This video would have been extremely long if I didn't separate it out into 2 to 3 parts, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's probably going to be just 2 parts. In this particular part, we covered the ladder of everything. I believe we only covered things like, HUD bar, inventory, grand company, abilities, map functions, Marketboard, HUD layout, and duty finder. In the first part, which is linked below, and you should be able to see an adaptation or a card somewhere around here, we covered movement, quest differences, athletes, traveling, and classes, as well as gear sets. Please check out the video if this is the first video you're seeing. Thanks so much for watching this entire 2-part series. My name is Stemriel. Like, subscribe, and as always, have a good day, and I'll see you all in Eorzea.